21st century. Everything is moving forward. People are more open to talking about such things like paranormal. Well, in some countries, I'm going to say that all countries are quite as open just yet, but that could happen. But it's more open about witchcraft. The thing that gets me about the witches community and the community in itself is that it still has a very dim view on the dark arts. Now, that really does get up my nose because it's kind of live and let live. They see it as Satanism is terrible. It's this bad thing. Again, it comes back down to, and I know this is just slightly off topic, but it comes back down to the whole Ouija board discussion. And people go, oh, you go to hell, you're going to get this happen to you, that happened to you, everything, don't use it. I've seen it. I have seen it. But it comes down to the person that uses it.
Yes.
And it so comes down to the fact of, if you go with good intentions, then something good will happen. If you go with bad intentions, you're going to get a bad response. But the thing about it is, Satanism, and I said this, I can't remember what show I said it on, say if you actually break Satanism down and you look at Satanism tells you to live your own life the way you want to live it. There is it, full stop. That's what it is. It encourages you to live your life. You don't have to live by a set, and I know this is going to offend people to the highest of levels, and I do apologise. Strong viewers' discretion advised. Take in that our opinions are our own, but you don't need to have, you've got one set of religion that's got 10 commandments, while Satanism, you be your own person, you be who you want to be. And I find it really dead interesting. I just wish that if people could be open-minded about paranormal, why not be open-minded about Satanism?
See, the thing is, when it comes to witchcraft, okay, I've just got to confirm the date because I'm pretty sure I am accurate with this. I would just have to check. Right. Yeah. Okay. Witchcraft itself was never mentioned up until the point of the early 1600s. Okay. It was, you're an outcast because you do things differently. That was it. Then King James I, right? He died in 1625, but before he died in 1611, the first edition of the new Bible, the King James Bible, was released, which was altered to include witches back in 1611. Now, I live on Matthew Hopkins, Witchfinder General's stomping ground. The area I live in is where Matthew Hopkins, self-appointed Witchfinder General, Matthew Hopkins, persecuted witches. And he did that on the basis of the King James, the Bible, which came out in 1611. Now, Matthew Hopkins died at the age of 27 in 1647. But he left chaos in his wake by literally murdering hundreds of witches, rightly or wrongly. Even innocent people that never even practiced witchcraft, he persecuted and hung. And I live literally a stone's throw away from the place he was first buried, where he first held court to some of the witches, and where he had a dunking bridge where he tested to see if people were witches, which had no basis because they were on the belief that if you were a witch, you floated. You were made of wood, you floated, you were taken to the stake and you were burnt alive. If you were innocent and you weren't a witch, you drowned. So your body would then be taken away and buried in consecrated ground. And then obviously, as Joe said, after that came the Salem witch trials, which were roughly 43, 44 years later. But by that time, the King James Bible had spread. So you've got the junction there, and it's because of the King James Bible and the mentioning of witches in that created all of this witch trials and the persecution of anybody that did anything differently. So you can see why people would be, especially in them days, if they read a version of the King James Bible and old Doris next door made nettle soup when nobody else did, because they did something differently, it would be, oh no, you're an outcast, get out.
Yeah, see, but that's just another example of how something like that can cause mass hysteria.
Right.
And it spreads quickly and fast.
Right.
Yes, very.
I just got out of a church demonstration with Helen Duncan's granddaughter, Margaret, was there. And it's so interesting that I'm popping in here with all of you and how she was prosecuted for witchcraft. Yeah. And then we're here talking about that. But I agree with what you were saying, Lo, is like, it's the partitioner, it's how they work and the intention behind it. And that's what Jeanette says here. It always comes down to the person and the intention of it being used, right? And going into a paranormal investigation, because many of you do this, that energy is definitely felt. I have gone into a room, and I know when I'm going into a room where there was practice of darker energies, and it does leave an impression or imprint of chaos. It does leave the energies of disharmony. So when you're in there unhealed doing your magic, you're creating an additional chaos of impressions with wherever your altar or your practice is at. So that energy, now the next person going into the home has to work through that. And I felt into the energies of the new people living there was prayer and love and gentleness, which then changes the form, but the energies are still very much felt. And that's the unfortunate part when someone starts to dabble in the unknown of frustration or of emotion and practicing in that way.
I'll just go to say a few highs because comments about, hey Emma, William says, a witch is a witch is a witch. As long as it's no low as a bitch.
I'm always called a witch, I'm invited. I'll embrace it. I can't help it.
Hey, Jessie. Laura. Hey, Laura. How you doing? Hey, Courtney.
Hey, Courtney girl.
Annette says, it was all superstition and church madness. It certainly was. Healers and wise women. And hey, Parker. Talking about one of the witches, there's a witch. Obviously, in Scottish history, there's been a few witches who have been condemned for witchcraft. As you just said, Helen Duncan was one.
Yes.
The one that always stands out to me is Janet Horne. And accused of being a witch in 1727, Janet Horne was the last person in the British Isles to be executed for witchcraft. Now, she has a monument. If my mind serves me right, she does have a monument to obviously cremate her. When Horne and her daughter were arrested in Dundalk after being accused of being witches by their neighbours, now that was a problem back in the day. She was showing signs. After a hazy trial, they were both found guilty. Whilst her daughter managed to escape, the old woman was stripped, smeared with tar, paraded through the town in a barrel, and burnt alive. And this is one of the sad things that you would find these people were getting tortured in such a horrendous way. I mean, another one was executed after freely confessing without being tortured, which was actually unusual for the time, to be part of a covenant of 13 that feasted with the Queen of the Fairies, and also the ability to transform into animals, and this was Isabel Gowden. She also claimed to have killed a man with elf arrows and have been, alright, how do I say this one? Obviously, because YouTube is essay, that's all I'm going to say, essay, and beaten by the devil. Her testimony was considered to be most exceptional ever given by witchcraft suspect in Britain. Oh, hey Shane, there's my lovely sweet in. Hey Noreen, one thing witches were good at in school spell. The jokes are going to fly tonight, folks. My hubby's nickname for me is Witchy Bitch. I just thought it was bitch. Oh, hello, Samantha. Welcome to the show. That
Hi,
sounds
Samantha.
intense.
It is. I think it's horrible what happens to people that, are practicing. It could be scary when you don't understand it. Saying hi
Just
from my
saying
new
that hi
dungeon.
from you, Dungeon. That's because at this moment of time, Shane, be quiet. I'll be doing in a minute. I have Shane in my dungeon, but shh. I'm practicing witchcraft with him later on. But yeah, it's one of those ones where, as time has progressed, now I'm going to give a big, huge shout out. I've been in many witchy groups, but not like this one, and I want to give a really big shout out to this one, and it's called A Witch for the Season, and it's a really, really good group, and it's run by Michelle Burton. I will post the link, guys, obviously for you guys to check out. And she's just a really interesting lady. And I mean, there's been so many good witches, but you've also got your bad witches as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I've seen in most things I've seen in most groups, in witchy groups, no, it's just as bad as the paranormal, right? Say, Shane, I'm going to use Shane as prime example. He might not like it, but I'm going to use Shane as prime example, right? So, Shane will be scared. They'll be like, why is she using me as prime example? I do this with everyone, Shane, so fear not. So, Shane is on my show. He has been on my show. I become obsessed with Shane, and I want a magic spell to make him stay. he's laughing just now. We'll see if he's laughing at the end. So I become obsessed with Shane, and I want him under my spell. I have seen many a time where somebody goes on to these groups and says, how can I get someone to love me? That's like me going on there and saying, how can I get Shane to love me? You see it all the time. Or
You do.
Wayne's upset me because Wayne just upset me, right? So I go in the group and say, I want to curse Wayne. How is the best way to curse Wayne? And it's things like, I use examples, people. You know me. I can't say Joe. Poor Joe. That's no nice.
Oh, not poor
So-
me then.
You know I love you, really. Shane knows I love him too, right? But it's things like that you see in groups that
Right.
it's horrible. It is really horrible. I've even seen where people who say they like they're grey witches or they're into maybe the occult and the abuse that they get, and I just think, why can't you just live and let live?
Right. And that's what Emma's saying here. You never mess with free will. And then again, why would you even want someone to love you based on an intent of like forceful? Like that's not pure love. That love and light that you speak of, you want that love to come in a beautiful way because they love you of your essence and your characteristics and who you are,
Yeah.
that the energies that just come with that is just very disharmony, right? As a psychic, I get asked very often to tell them about how someone they dislike will, wow, that's so sad. And did you see Samantha's comment? She says here, that's
2 minutes now. 2 minutes now. Run quickly through them. Where am I? Right. Sounds intense. Oh, Shane in his
Yeah.
dungeon. So Noreen, he's laughing. Samantha says hello. I hate return here to support Spooky Network and our very own Wayne Seaton. Wayne's that dungeon is getting very full. The neighbours will hear the screaming. That's why I've made the walls soundproof, Nettie, so they don't scream.
right.
You never told me that, Lou. Told you what? That if it's about Shane, I told you that in confidence. So Shane's cool. Samantha says, I have learned a lot about witchcraft over the recent years. There's a lot more to it than people imagine, and I find people like to pretend to something they're not very often, and it can be very dangerous indeed. What did you do now, Wayne? Shane's asking.
It's a secret.
Samantha says, pretend to be something they're not. Mess with free will. Oh, thank you. Much love to you.
Yeah.
Hi, Caroline. Samantha says, as a psychic, I get asked very often to tell them about how someone they dislike will die. I then tell them to get out. No wonder. Hi, Lan. Totally agree, Debbie. They're just saying hi about the group. I'm sure I've added you. Mind you, I've added you to that many groups that I lost track of where I've added you. But I just don't think you should be doing that. And it's not nice when you see, but what makes it 10 times worse is everybody knows is scammers. As
People
they
shouldn't
pick
be
some
allowed to
random
do it, but they do it anyways. There's a lot of things people shouldn't do.
Right.
But I wanted to make a point, that Debbie was saying earlier about, people where you're talking about making those people love you or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you feel? How do you feel? This just popped in my head when it was on. How do you feel about arranged marriages then?
Well, that happens, right? I have someone that was actually put in that situation, and they love each other. It was arranged, set up, but they love each other. But to me, when you're in that situation, if you think about it, it's still you're losing your free will, and that's why you see a lot of misunderstanding. Unfortunately, we're back in the days where one actually had to. I'm not going to say. I guess I'm going to say the word suffered because that wasn't someone who they loved. And oftentimes in the movies, if you see their heart belongs to somebody else, but they're having to support this other love. Unfortunately, with over time, I'm sure that they develop some form of relationship depending on the expansion.
I don't see how that would be possible because
Right.
I think there'd be a lot of resentment there.
Right. I agree with you, Joe. I think this is the unfortunate times that people lived in. And I think based on the ways, if you're going back to when that happened and then the ways, it's almost like an understanding was already placed in their awareness, like this is going to happen, you're going to get married. So they're preparing mentally the best they can, which for me would never be in my thoughts that way, you know. It gives me the movie The Outlanders. I love The Outlanders. You know, she was forced to marry him, but then she like totally loved him. But every situation is different. Right. And so I think
it's just as daft. I know we're going a bit off topic here, but it's just as daft, right? We have a show over in the UK. There is a show in Australia. I don't know if America has it. I'm not too sure. I don't think there is yet. And I'm saying yet we have a very thin line.
Hey, Nick.
What's up,
Nick,
guys?
I was just talking about you. Buzz off. Come back in 5 minutes. You know, I'm kidding. So I'm not quite sure yet if there is in America yet, but I'm saying that we have a very thin line because I can see it going to America very soon. And it's
Courtney says we do. We have the 90-day fiance.
Oh well, we have a show over here in Australia called Married at First Sight.
Oh yeah, we have that too.
Now, so I think that's crazy. Like that's I can't use Shane now because Shane's married, so I'm going to have to use Nick. So Nick,
you have to use me for everything.
I always have to use Nick, right? So I go on this show. Never met Nick a day in my life. Then I have to meet Nick. What if I don't like Nick? But I've got to marry him. And it's about, damn it, Shane, for being married. You're giving me a red face now, Samantha. I can't ask. I wish I hadn't used Shane now. But
go ahead, Lou. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
So no, you find out. But the point being, you know, it's one of those ones that what people who go into these groups, and sometimes, as Samantha said earlier on, I think in one of her comments somewhere, was about people that say they are, but they aren't. And it's a bit like, I think people go into these groups looking for that sort of thing. Like, it's almost like going, and Samantha, I'm sure, will probably agree with me, but it's like going to somebody you know who's a psychic medium, or, you know, like yourself, Debbie, you'll probably find yourself. People come to you, can you do beer? Now you're killing me. So you end up going to these people looking for somebody you want to speak to. You've got to remember, you guys can't just, you know, it's not like a phone book. It isn't like you guys can just zap the person they want to speak to.
Right.
It's very much like, if they come, they come. If they don't, it's just one of those things. Samantha says, have any of you encountered people who try to pass themselves off as something they are not, but you feel it in you that it's not right, such as a spiritual teacher or mentor? I'll let everybody else answer it first. What about you guys?
So when she's saying for a mentor who would try to do that kind of practice, have you ever encountered people who try to pass themselves as something they are not, but feel it in you that it's not right, such as a spiritual teacher or mentor? Yeah, like we're always going to come across our intuition of like, okay, something is off or something is not right. That's your own spirit, your own body. Like listen to you're the pendulum. Your physical body is your first and foremost tool on how to respond to energy. everything's energy, everything is vibration. And if it's not in alignment with you, there's always going to be something that just does not feel right. And that's in anything, whether it's love or whether it's the person's energy. Maybe they're going through something very personal. So you always want to feel into that first and foremost. Trust that, people who practice in this way, as you talked about the movie, The 90 Day, I look at that. They're both, the man and woman are wanting the love. So you're putting a storyline where everybody in that storyline is trying to create and manifest that connection. So you're dealing with people who are willing and open to that connection in that network. So that's a whole different story versus someone, like Practical Magic. This lady is coming because she wants her husband to love her and she wants to force him to love her back, and taking free will away. That's a whole nother matter. And what comes to my mind when we talk about that is even manifestation. Like, we're manifesting love and we're putting in prayer. We're setting, whispers to the universe to echo what we're desiring. There is a lot of that energy that's out there, but what you're echoing, what is it that you're mirroring, and what are you calling into? There is that mystical of unknown, of mystery, but with hopes that you're doing it in a beautiful way, for self and not offending anyone's free will. It's such a fine line.
What about yourself, guys? Have you ever came across or encountered people who try to pass themselves off as something they're not?
Only a couple in the paranormal field, but in my experience, it's been more what we call over here the Walter Mitties, and in the States it's called Stolen Valor. I'm part of a group that actually sort of call out people that go around saying they did this in the military, they did that in the military, only to find out that they didn't. And we used to go out and call them out and say, look, you shouldn't be going around wearing these medals and saying you were doing this when you're not. And it does happen in the paranormal field.
It happens everywhere.
With mediums, they're called cold callers, like the cold callers and cold reading. I think you're going to get that sort of person everywhere in society.
That's
you're not going to escape it. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
The sad situation is this, and I'm going to be brutally honest now, is, as you quite rightly say, there's a lot of charlatans. You will get them everywhere. You will get them no matter what field you're in, right? Here is what the sad reality is. Facebook lets in a lot of scammers. Fact.
They do.
Now, they could start off with sitting. Now, I've noticed a change in what they do, so I want to make people aware. So what they tend to do is they add you. They might wait a few days. They might wait a few weeks. Suddenly they're in your inbox, right? Here's what the sad reality is. When you go into such groups like witches groups, paranormal groups, medium groups, any sort of groups, right? But I'm going to use these as prime example, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, say I guess I'm in a vulnerable place just now, and I'm very honest and open about this with my grand dying, right? Now, say that I put a post up, right? Something to do with witchy, anything to do with witchy, right? Right? And I get a load of comments. You'll always find one that's a scammer.
Yeah.
And I could be daft enough to say, well, this person's offering me a good spell that could change my life, could make me more happier, more bubbly. And the next thing, before I know it, they've got my bank details and they're draining my bank account. This happens a lot. And it happens to vulnerable people. And there's not one person. It's the same as mediums, and I don't mean this offensively to you, Debbie, you, Samantha, anybody out there that do great jobs. But there is ones out there that will promise and make up. Yeah, we have your love. Like, I'm going to use my gran as an example, God rest her soul, right? But I could go to some reader, right? Be desperate, just absolute desperate to talk to my gran in my worst days. And that person could take advantage of me and be like, yeah, your grand's saying this, your grand's saying that. Yeah, £120, or say I went to America, $120, right? It's just sad things like that, and people. This is what people need to realise. People cling on to these things for a reason.
Right. There's a lot of hurt.
Scammers. I'm going to tell you something, Lois. Scammers have been out there a long time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? They started long before the internet. And when the internet happened, it just gave them a bigger tool.
Yeah.
You know,
It did.
and then false emails to, I mean, I get it every day. And see, I'm good at spotting the scams because I've been at busting them suckers for a long time.
Get it, Joe.
You know, I don't know if I've done it lately, but I think one time on one of our shows back when we were pissing people off, Mark and I talked about these scammers. You know, the old ladies would get the phone calls back in the day. Oh, we're going to pave your driveway and charge you this much. And then they do a shitty job or they don't show up, but they got your money. All right. Now, these psychics, the phony psychics, I know exactly how they work. They get a subscription, and it doesn't cost much for these subscriptions to these places. And all they got to do is type in your name and your birth date and about the, you know, approximate area that you live, and they can find out details, your relatives. They can find a lot of details about you.
Mm-hmm.
And it only costs them a couple of bucks a month. And here they're making $60, $70 just to answer one question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know, or more. I mean, I don't know what the exact figure is, but, you know, there are ways where you can find out a lot of information. And see, that comes from me being a private investigator.
Nice.
Back in the day. I mean, I used the internet to find out a lot of information very easily. And a lot of times it didn't cost me a damn penny to do it.
Right.
So
I have a lot of friends like you.
So these scammers, they get more sophisticated in their ways. You know, I see emails come across saying, oh, your Netflix thing is about to expire. If you don't renew it, click this now or whatever. Your payment's been denied for Amazon, you know, and they want me to verify my information. And it's like they're phishing so they can steal my accounts and my money.
I think.
Right. Hi, Erica.
Hey,
I'm just.
been a while.
I'm just.
Be safe from those emails is one, when it looks suspicious, it probably is.
Right.
Mark it as spam if it comes into your inbox. And another thing is you look closely at the email that it's coming from and say it's coming from Netflix. Well, it'll be at netflix.com. You know, because all the admin addresses and all the upper management people have those email addresses. So if it doesn't have that, it's not even official. It may look official. I can make all kinds of, I can make an official email look just like it came from your bank.
Right.
But you look at the thing, if it doesn't have your bank's name as the .com, it's not official.
Right.
No.
I think
I'm going to quickly run through these comments because they're building up with nothing else on there tonight. Could never do that show, horrendous. Nick is taking bookings for overseas. Only not. That was for Tom, but that was only North Carolina. Yeah, and then he says a question only Nick can answer. Do bears shit in the woods?
What is going on here?
I don't know. Courtney says, humans have been so conditioned to think with our eyes and not our hearts. See with our eyes and not feel with minds and bodies. You will feel when it is right. I totally agree, Courtney. Samantha said, I had a lady who brought out a lot of my sidekick abilities, who wanted me for a circle to be a cordial to speak to spirits, and I said, I'm not ready. And when I needed her help, she turned on me and turned the circle against me. Not very spiritual. You'll find that everywhere. William says there's always somebody that thinks they know more than you. I've spoken to a few in the past. Sam says, I thought I would get away from the drama of fashion world and then got into the paranormal without even knowing what was happening. Why can't we enjoy the paranormal?
Yeah, really.
She then goes on to say, sorry, I'm getting lost with these
She
comments.
does, 'cause she has me as her presenter. That's why she
I
enjoys
will-
paranormal.
Oh, Wayne.
I will never use my gift to gain myself anything. I will take a donation only if it's offered, but mostly I do what I do to help others. William says, because there are people out there that like to exploit the area like anything, there's money to be made, sadly. Samantha says, bigger and wider platform, Joe, it makes it easier for them to pry on a nationwide and worldwide. And also I wished I could bloody spell properly. I'm like Nick from last night. I'm not drawing a breath with these comments. It was going on in Victorian times. Victoria's Aosis, for example, they used to rip off widows. That's Lynn. Courtney says that's
Yeah,
why I
that-
like it.
That picked up a lot during the First World War as well. A lot of
Yeah.
the mediums were being approached by people that wanted to contact loved ones in case, because they'd gone missing in action.
Right.
They weren't
Yep.
necessarily dead, but they were missing in action, and they were going to these psychics hoping that they weren't dead.
Mhm. That's very
they
true.
had received a letter that had said that they'd been killed in action.
Well,
Then obviously they're going to these mediums to try and contact them.
Right. That still happens. We still get calls
yeah.
like that.
President, you know, that
and
probably
love-
happened during Vietnam and stuff too, with all the MIAs that were out there.
Yep.
I mean,
Right.
they were finding MIAs, you know, God, 20, 30 years later.
I
Well,
think
that
what
was
happened.
during Vietnam, was when they used a lot of psychic mediums to do remote viewing to try and find people that had been imprisoned or, you know, gone missing in action and been captured. The
Right.
CIA
Well-
were using a lot of people using MK Ultra
Hmm.
to
Uh.
remote view on some of the camps.
Right.
Yeah. and I'll tell you, we're going down a rabbit hole next. I'll tell you after the comments where we're heading. Courtney says, that's why I keep it within Worldview Family Circle. Nori says, my good friend committed suicide. I'm so sorry because of the nonsense the scammer medium filled her head with. She was very vulnerable after her boyfriend died, and this ruthless woman pried on her, even pretending to channel his voice. That's the worst one that I've came across. I'm
God
going to
rest
come
her
back to
spirit.
your. I'm going to come back to your comment in just a minute, Noreen. Courtney put a lot of exclamation marks. Rigger says, hi, U5, hope you're all well. I'll get round to finally watching a full show soon when I find the time, lol. Well, that's just not good enough, Rigger. That's alright, I love you, really. Samantha says, I know photographers, Joe, who actually proved they could forge anything. Lynn said, agree with Joe, some psychic mediums have a team who check up on the customer's card they pay the ticket with. They could get lots of information just doing it. It happened here. Samantha says, can I just say thank you for actually reading comments out from viewers. Many people, especially influenced, just ignore people, but you guys are on it. Well done. Do you know what, Samantha? As I say time and time again, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have these shows. So you guys are just as important as anybody else.
Pickle Tom!
Pickle Tom's in the house.
Yay! Pickle Tom, yay! Do you know, I'm so over the moon. Do you know, at 35, I'm easily amused, but I'm so happy that I'm adopted by Pickle Tom. Laurie says, I did try and tell her repeatedly what this woman was about, but she was so desperate to believe. Nettie says, the only time I donated for a reading is if I've been given a free one and it came up with something I could possibly know, not random information that could be gathered through quick searches. Pickle
I agree.
Rose.
I agree.
Thank
And
you
I
very
want to
much.
I want to step in here really quickly about what you're saying. And I think it's important to understand discernment is needed. And the discernment, a medium that is coming to be a service, a professional medium that's going to bring evidential proof without a doubt, with 100% that in fact, you felt presence, evidence, the actual feeling that without a doubt, you have my loved one with you. And it is unfortunate that there are people that reach out to others. A professional medium won't look for you. They will not message you. They will not inbox you. If you're feeling guided to connect to a person and to work with that person, it's because your soul felt guided to connect in the way that your soul is needing that energy, that frequency. So all the areas that you've all touched on, not just on a psychic medium, not just in paranormal, in life in general, it's unfortunate those that are most vulnerable, most in grief, most in hurt, where they're needing that inspiration and upliftment, that we will hold on to people's words as truth. And we're without a doubt hoping truth is in that.
Well, they get preyed upon the most too.
If I could also step in too, Lois, I'm not sure if you already brought this up on the show, but all this talk about those, who have done, these things that they're not really true, that they're not really true to their title. I mean, whether you said it or not, it's already given me a reminder of someone that I think most of us were pretty much all too familiar with Hoth, obviously, who's
oh my God. Do you know something? It was actually, I think it was Samantha that said about influencers, and my fucking head, I was like, Louise, shut up. Don't say anything about her. Shut up. Don't say anything about her, because you'll go into one big tangent. See, you, Nick, I don't like you either.
The best advice I can give people out there right now is do your homework.
Yeah.
Right. Because I before the internet, I was playing around with computers. There was something called the bulletin boards. They were all over the place. You had to dial up to get into them, but they were a multimedia, multi-people thing. And over time, I learned a lot just in that little bulletin board thing. So when the internet came to be popular and we had the World Wide Web and all of that, I got all my kids aside, my, nieces, nephews, and all of this. And I told them, sat down there and told them, don't believe anything. Because, and I went and proved it, that by giving them an example, because back then you had like Yahoo Chat and all this other stuff, that it doesn't take much for you to be somebody that you're not. Right. I mean, I could sit there and play like I'm some woman and, or whatever, or some guy, and start preying on little girls or whatever, saying that and it happens. It's sad, but it's happened because these people you didn't have cameras at the start and stuff like that. So you're all behind all this text. You could be anything you want, upload a stolen picture from anywhere on the internet, and that's your profile pic, and it's not really you.
Right.
Well, and that's why I was saying this. Again, I'm not going to say too much, but this YouTube channel I'm talking about is probably the most perfect example of someone who is not true to their title and does almost everything you just said, Joe.
So do your homework. You got to do your homework on the people that and it's not just people, it's companies and everything out there, because there's a lot of scams. So do your homework.
I think too, if you're dealing
with everything.
Yeah, like going to Noreen Hill. Noreen Hill, you have been victimized in a loss of a loved one based on what she was seeking help for. And for that, I'm truly sorry. Truly sorry on the loss of your friend, because she believed in the medium and where her healing was. There is a vulnerability of when we're getting people in my work, there is such deep grief. And I am the evidential psychic medium. I have studied for 25 years plus. And we go with people who do this work. There's an integrity that comes with that. And it sounds like your friend did not have someone who had that integrity to say, I'm sorry, you may need additional care. You know, we are not doctors. We are not diagnosing. We do not hold, we are not in that area where we would care for someone who needs more work. We're here to show you that life is eternal and that it continues on. And so if there's more underlying causes, that is the job of the medium to say, I'm sorry, this is not in my area. You may need a doctor to help you with this. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of time to get the right person that has studied to hold space for this level of magnitude of care. It's so much work that comes with a psychic medium just showing that life is eternal. There is layers of deeper work that gets done with our work. You know, it's not just saying, hello, I have your loved one. It's we're filling into everything. We really are.
Well, here's one, man. I'm going to finish the comments. First of all, I've had the great fortune to meet a very genuine medium. She was amazing. Samantha, I swear you're going to have my throat killed by tomorrow morning. Sadly, there's some YouTubers that massive fan bans and cult followers by all the information about the individuals that can be easily found online and exploited as they are, usually famous influencers who go to these locations with these mediums. I can think of a few, don't get me started. I think, Samantha, between you and Nick, you're trying to send me into the rant mode. Lynn says, I know 4 absolutely amazing mediums, totally blown my mind, but there's some ridiculous ones. I went to one about 34 years ago, and they based on my reading on my star sign. I asked for my money back and was told spirits wouldn't let me give it to you. What a load of bollocks.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Joe says, usually, Joe, something will reminisce with one of the 2 people in the audience or online, and a medium who can do what they say. They will hold on to that and run with it, and people who are low and sad will see what they want to see. Oh, no. Oh, no.
What?
Fuck.
What's the matter?
I've just deleted Sam's last comment. I meant to bring it up.
Sam, put your comment back in again.
Bring it back in, girl. Bring it back in.
Samantha says, Lynn, that's for you.
Please copy it.
She's laughing. Now, guys, I won the heart. I won the heart of Samantha, and now I fell down the ladder, and she says, fuck you, Lois. I'm not watching your show again.
Thing is, Sam's comment about
oh my gosh
was right, because if you Google my name, you will get stuff come up left, right, and centre, including Companies House, which is the UK government-run section for.
I don't have my glasses on.
So you Google my name, and it will eventually come up with the government Companies House, and it will give you my details.
Perfect. And that's exactly it. Google research, study them, find out about who you're going to work with. It's like checking a doctor out. What doctor has great, referrals, recommendations. Everyone, for a long time, I was word of mouth up until 2-3 years ago. So it's like how people find you is based on what they know about you, So really, really, it's important to have a good reference.
No, that comment. There was another one after that. So it's not that comment. I've already read that comment. I don't even know what the comment said. God damn it.
I can't remember what comment she made now.
That was my Wayne kind of sounds like Michael Caine.
It'll say asshole in big letters next to my name.
Hey guys, just real quick,
just Google you, huh?
Just real quick, I sent the link for her to check this out. I think Creola from Romania is watching right now, so I just want to give a quick shout out to her.
Oh wow!
Yeah, what's fascinating is that she's she plays in that area too when it comes to when it comes to like maybe not necessarily witchcraft, but magic in a way. So she's quite the person to really talk to about this. So I'm glad she's tuning into this. She's not feeling
I'm
so
quite glad.
She's not feeling so good, but she is watching. So
Oh bless, thank you. Get well soon. So here's a man that many people the only birthday. Here's a man that no many people like to talk about, but I think he's great. Not many people do. Alistair Cowley.
Oh, Alistair
That
Cowley.
man has been everywhere in the world.
He's one of the most
Samantha,
glorious
I would love to hear your rants, Lou. That would be a whole set. Oh, for God's sake, don't get me started. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Brit?
That's
That
a
should
new
be the title.
podcast in itself.
That
Rants
should
with
be the
Lou.
title right there. Don't get
Yep.
me started.
That is a
don't get me
great title. That is a great
Don't-
title, Joe.
Well, will we go? Will we start with Huff? Will we start in Bristol? Where do you want me to go? Who knows? Everybody. But
Lou, I'm so glad you're having this conversation, though, about
Well,
the
there
darker
she is.
energies of the
Here she
fight.
is.
Like, I'm so glad
Sorry,
you
Debbie.
are. No, it's cool. Hey,
I'm
hey,
from Romania.
hey, somebody may I good folks, you
she's
chunks.
so gorgeous. Hey,
Um,
thanks for
gonna
watching.
What? She's actually going to be a guest real soon in a
Never
couple
heard
weeks.
of him.
Nice.
Sorry, Tom. Never heard of
Welcome.
him.
Well, she's gorgeous. Can't wait.
Yay. So sorry, Debbie, what were
Oh.
you saying, darling?
I was saying, I just think that this conversation that you brought forward, all of you guys coming with the facts about witchcraft, darker energy, light energy, magic, like it's so needed. It's so needed. Very needed
Yeah.
because what happened?
Oh no, what Tom said. I'm sorry. It's not you, Debbie.
Do you know what? I'm trying to keep a straight face in the background because I can see what the comments are saying. So
What did I miss? What did I miss?
No,
Joy
yeah,
said-
so-
It started with Tom's comment. You know,
yeah, no, you know who that guy? Who else is great to talk about? That dude that has that YouTube channel. This is Tom's
this
World.
Tom's World, he's pretty awesome.
He's plugging himself.
And
in.
then I said,
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is. I'm sorry.
Tom,
I don't know who that is.
That's all right. I've been plugging myself since the show started.
And
So
that's why I
Well,
said, thank you,
That's
Joe.
what's up, Wayne? I follow
Um,
you now on TikTok, Wayne. So I'm loving your TikTok. So I'm like, yeah, look at this guy go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
it says I just went up.
that's my stupid side.
nah.
Yeah. I just went up to Scotland looking for it. Lynn, I'll come back to your comment in a minute. If I get a reading and it was rubbish, I tell them it's bullshit. I agree with you.
Listen,
Yo, I can't spell your name. I put Samantha put Crane.
It must have been
Crayola.
autocorrect. But it was.
Oh, Lord.
We're sorry, Debbie. You were saying though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sorry, Debbie.
no, it was okay. So let's plug in Tom. Tom, we're plugging you in. Please follow Tom, y'all, because Tom is in the comments. Let's not miss him.
I'm not plugging with you.
There you go, Tom. We're going to everybody follow him. Make sure you get your follows and likes and shares and subscribes in. and all of us in here, Wayne, Lo, Nick, and Joe, they all have their fabulous podcasts hooking it up for their time and community. So let's get all that out so we get out of our system.
And guys, if you are not prude, go and check out Tom Cute and Kinky.
Okay.
Only every good local stores.
I
It's
don't
a
use
true-
OnlyFans.
Yeah, there's his YouTube channel.
There's a plug.
There
There's a
you
plug.
go.
You should just come on in and just say it yourself, bro.
Samantha. She doesn't know who Tom is yet. That's right.
Tom Rules, who is Tom Joke,
Hey,
of course.
Oh, God.
Just join
Oh,
the
wow.
group. Join the
Oh.
seat. We got a room right
Where,
there in the
do
middle.
we get- where do we- on earth do we even begin with who Tom is?
I know.
That might take a
I
while.
wanted to speak about Alistair Cowley, and it was like, fuck Alistair Cowley. Who's Tom? Who's Uncle Tom?
Let's regroup here. I just want to say thank you for having.
Oh, he's a very listen. This show is a very laid back show, and it's about having a laugh and having that serious side. And I got a compliment off one of the guests that we had on last week, and he really enjoyed himself.
Mhm.
And he said, "Excuse me, even though you have fun, you have your serious side too." And that is, it's about, that's what it is. And I've got a good compliment off Samantha tonight saying about us in view, including the, oh, I don't even know, Samantha, I'm giving up. I'm really giving up.
No, you actually had great history. Great. I mean, you guys come in with your power of your knowledge, and it's not an accident, Wayne. I mean, where he lives and how he talks about the history of witchcraft and how people were prosecuted and treated because of their form of practice and because there was no understanding of it, and then Joe going into his detail and your detail. And I just think, with everyone's feelings about it, we're now in 2024. How do we look at it with a gentler set of eyes, with love, with light, and also respect to the medicine of how people practice if they're coming with great intentions, right? It's no different than prayer. It's no different than manifestation. It's no different than mantras. It's all words. How are we using our words, and how are we using it for the power to create better and change of goodness? And that's what's important. But as a psychic medium going into the investigations, I'll tell you, you're creating energy that's heavier and darker that can manipulate and manifest and grow, especially if someone goes into the home that is not healthy or not healed, they can create that energy to expand. So it's important.
Wait a minute, is that? Wait a minute, I need to look at that picture. I thought that was Shane in the back. I thought it was Shane's wife, because I know Shane's wife was going to watch tonight. Now, Mr. Cowley, he's been everywhere. Let's face it. And I'm sure there's a lot of places he's been across the world. Now, Lynn said, obviously, about being in Scotland, and she can't. So, Debbie's saying, Samantha's saying that you're completely right in what you're saying, 100%.
A lot of agreement.
Right, I'm actually terrified to touch Samantha's comments, God lover. Samantha says, how do you get the time, dude, talking about Wayne? He's got too much knowledge. I don't know how he knows, but he knows. Him and Nick together are the dream team with their knowledge. But here's the thing, because going back to Lynn's comment, because Lynn was saying obviously that she couldn't find, right? So basically, Boleskine House is being rebuilt by the Boleskine Foundation. I strongly disagree with what they're doing. And I'll tell you why I strongly disagree. Not many people know this. See, when I tell this story, I get a wee bit sad when I tell this story, because I think about Cliff Jones when I tell this story.
Oh, yeah, Cliff.
Yeah. So, Boleskine House, as everybody knows, was one of Alistair Cowley's main areas to go. The thing about Boleskine House was it came on fire with Alistair Cowley. After Alistair Cowley, everybody knows that Jimmy Page was, for Led Zeppelin, was fascinated with the dark art, and he was fascinated with Alistair Cowley. So he bought Boleskine House. So when he bought Boleskine House, that's Joe and Tom. I can see the corner of my eye. So when obviously Page bought Boleskine House, it went on fire. Now, not many people know, right? And it was actually, as again, when I did my research, and it was actually Cliff that told me that before Alistair Cowley, there used to stand a church where Boleskine House was. And it ended up being that Boleskine House ended up on fire. That church ended up going on fire before Alistair Cowley had it. Now you think about it, Alistair Cowley had it, it went on fire. The church went on fire. Jimmy Page had it and it went on fire. Now this is Boleskine House Foundation wanting to rebuild. My question is
it going to catch fire?
Why is it going? Well, I think it is going to catch fire, and a lot of people are going to go, holy shit. But if it's happened 3 times with 3 different owners, what doesn't stop a 4th?
Yeah.
So I think it's a really bad mistake. But I would love to investigate it much further back to how much it can go to see if there is a part in the line of fires. Because most people are like, but Alistair Cowley was into the dark arts, he was this, he was that. Yeah, he might have done all the dark arts and things like that, but that doesn't explain how the church that before he was there went on fire.
See, I would see Alistair Crowley. I mean, this is just my personal opinion. I think he was someone who obviously did a combination of kind of both the light and dark arts, like depending on where he was. Now, obviously, I get that because a lot of people also associate with Alistair Crowley with Thelema Abbey in Italy, which Mussolini had ordered to be demolished. And it was supposedly said that Thelema Abbey was destroyed because it contained the dark arts and stuff. But the funny part is, contrary to popular belief, it was never truly demolished. Now, Thelema Abbey is still standing today. Unfortunately, since it was, instead of being demolished, they boarded it up, and it's literally been standing there rotting to the present day. But ironically enough, there are still Crowley followers, modern day followers, that still practice their magic in Thelema Abbey. Of course, obviously, it's one of the few times that it's part of the culture breaking and entering in this building, but at the same time, it was the only place where, at least as far as I know, where they had actual writings and inscriptions that Crowley had written throughout the abbey. So there's still a lot of practices going on to this day over there.
Here's the thing, but right, I could say it was a plausible excuse, right? If Alistair Cowley had done something that was so bad when he was doing his black magic and it went on fire, right? I could say that if it happened to every building that he was in, that he was doing this magic and suddenly there was a fire. I could say it was a plausible excuse, and that would be a reason for why Boleskine House went on fire with him. But when I learned about, obviously, there had been a church before Cowley, that I thought to myself, oh my God, actually, what is on those grounds that's caused that fire? Excuse me. And it's like one of those ones that I just think, seriously, mind you, a lot of these places, these people who rebuild certain places don't do their history. It's just to see a patch of land. Let's build. That's it. Let's go and do the research. Screw the research. What do they know? Let's build. Now, personally, if it was me, I did the research and I discovered that I sure as shit wouldn't be building on top. But then again, that could be me being superstitious. That could be me thinking, well, if there's 3 fires in a row, you know, what stops a 4th one? That could just be me. But I just think, as they say, and excuse the pun, there's no smoke without fire.
I don't know the history on it, but I could see what you're saying as my intuition taps into it, right? So I don't know the history of the property, but and you're saying there's 3 fires that occurred, but what was shown to me was one man that was hovering over a fire, and it was literally in a black coat, in a button long coat is how I saw him, and he was smoking. So one wasn't, I felt very much like the person was there and he was smoking a cigarette, and it was an accident. So I don't know the history on the property that you're speaking of, just by what you guys are saying, but intuitively. Go ahead.
I definitely would love to research it because, well, my wee researcher, he passed away. Unfortunately, he passed away at the start of the year.
Boleskine House was completed in 1760, so it's an old house, a very old house.
Yeah,
and it's been owned by numbers of people.
Yeah.
So do you have the house up right now, Wayne? Can you see it and what it looks like? Do you have it up online?
I have looked on Google Maps, and it's not
in
that
fact,
far.
Nick, see if I send you something. Sorry to cut in, Wayne. See if I send you something, if I still have it, which I've never ever deleted the messages, so I know that I will have it. See if I send you something, because you are my technical man. You're my right-hand man.
Wow. What a big home. I almost wanted to say it was like a cream yellow, but I could see
that was the house in 1912.
Wow.
Now, is that house, is it still there or is it gone now?
It's still there. It's being rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Right.
I've looked on Google Maps and it is definitely still there.
Right, guys, I'm just going to send this. See this, man? See Facebook as well. I keep going back the way and it keeps taking me down the way.
Oh, is this the modern version of it, Wayne?
That's the most recent picture of the house from the Google satellite.
Wow. Very colorful.
Right. It's beautiful.
Well, you know what they say about blue roofs? Hawaii.
I've heard of it before, but it's been a while since I've heard what it means to have blue roof.
Anything with the blue roof in Hawaii didn't catch fire.
Well,
that's true.
Right, Nick, I have sent you something. If you could put that up to me and then put it up for me, and I will explain it.
Yeah, give me a second here. I actually didn't have my Facebook on, but I'm opening it up right now. So yeah, give me a minute.
Right, I'm going to read a conversation between me and Cliff, right? I'm quite happy to read it because there's nothing see Facebook, it's doing my tits in the night. I mean in a literal sense. I don't know why you're I feel a bit bad for
Tom send me something.
Nick sent you. Listen, don't you be sending him Pixie. Right, I feel a wee.
Tom, you should just come in, Tom. Just come on in.
I feel a wee bit bad doing that.
This pickle.
Yeah, I feel a wee bit. I feel a wee bit bad for doing this, but to read the conversation, I need to bring the conversation up. So I'll need to message Cliff's wife and after the show and explained why I've done it, right? So I need to put the thumbs up. Feel terrible doing that because the man's obviously not here anymore. Because I wanted to read the conversation, right? So we had a conversation about Boleskine House. Now, see, since it's you, Tom, I'll send that link to you. In fact, Nick, can you send the link to Tom?
Yeah, I'll send it to him in just a second because I'm trying to get the. I don't know what. Yeah, because I'm trying to get the picture up right now. I don't know what's going on, but Facebook's just really stalling on my end.
poor Courtney says, I'm lost, but I'm hanging in here. You're doing well, Courtney. You're surviving the rodeo.
Get it, Courtney girl.
So I'll race through these comments quickly. Speaking of entities that take power and manipulate, notice how I took over the show for just a minute, laughing my ass off. Maybe I'm a spirit or a demon. Now you're coming on to my bloody show. So Tom says, don't worry if you delete my comments. Samantha, sorry, I could write it again. Thank you, my darling. Tom says, sorry, my comment side never turns off. Funny you are.
Well, here's the thing. His comic side, that's all because of the drinking he has.
Aye. Samantha says, oh dear, my father is friends with Jimmy Page. Never knew that about him. You learn something new every day.
Yeah. Sam's just got to tell her dad not to mention fires.
Aye. I thought you were going to say the house went on fire, the church went on fire, and Jimmy Page was on fire. Lynn says, I thought it's Demlo, but it's what's on the land beforehand. I keep hearing the song Mr. Cowley by Ozzy Osbourne in my head right now.
Yeah, I sent
Sorry,
it
I just saw your comment. Okay, thank you. Facebook's really stalling on my side.
You're doing something over there, so I figured I'd do it quick.
Yeah, that's spot on, Lo. Nick sent you a picture. Is a picture of the house. I come on, I don't have a line. Oh, I'm nearly deleting the comment. It cuts out in my end a bit, so I'm sure it is tech stuff today. Right, so I had a conversation with Cliff Jones about Boleskine House. Now, bearing in mind that Cliff Jones knows a lot about...
Oh, well, so I got the picture. Here's what you were talking about.
Right. It's not really a clear picture, right? So basically, right, I had been looking for months, if no a good while since I was the start of my paranormal research days, right? I'd been looking for the ley lines, like a map of the ley lines, or the map of at least round Boleskine House. Now, me and Ian Barrow did a show on, oh my God, nearly broke my glasses. That would have been horribly wrong. So we did a show on Friday Frighteners, and we talked about Aleister Cowley. And now Aleister Cowley and Ian, I always say they're the best of pals, because Ian's into Aleister Cowley just as much as what I am. So we were obviously talking, and one of my viewers, and a good friend, a really, really good friend, Cliff Jones, was in the chat that night. And he were having a conversation. So it started that we had, hey Tom.
Hi.
Big old Tom.
So
Tom.
we had a conversation in the DMs about Boleskine House. And funny enough, we were actually talking to the Graven back as well, because that was the night we done the Son of Sam. So then he said, obviously, I said, I'm quite taken. This was a conversation between him and me. I'm actually quite taken now with Boleskine House and its history. The Boleskine House is a manor on the southeast. This was Cliff telling me about, obviously, this southeast side of Loch Ness in the Scottish Highlands. It's notable for having been the home of author and occultist Aleister Cowley and Led Zeppelin guitarist and producer Jimmy Page. Aleister Cowley, in 1904, he read from the Gotha, the Lesser Key of Solom at Carlow to summon Horus. I said, it's not that, hun. It's the fires that I'm interested in. I have that book as well, and he showed me that he has the bookie. Well, he did have the bookie.
Sure. Let me zoom in on that quickly. Oh, do you want me to zoom in on that?
Yeah, please do. So that's the book that Cliff had. Was that one?
Wow.
So
really?
He says to me, hey Julianne. So
no coincidence is stumbling on this, she said.
So he says, do they know what caused the fires? I said, no, this is what I said to English last night. This is what I call my co-host. We have a good laugh. And I found out through somebody else about the fires. 3 fires, 3 different eras, ain't a happy accident. Strange, I will have a check. I says, before Cowley, there was a fire at the church that killed people. Cowley had it and there was a fire. Jimmy Page had it, fire. There's something on that ley line or there's something in that radius that caused it. Could it be the occult or insurance? Police suspect Boleskine House fire was started deliberately. Yeah, one of the fires, but it doesn't explain the others. Want my theory? He said Boleskine was unsure due to the previous fire. Yes, would like to hear your theory. I says, I think the church in some way was to do with the occult in some sort of way and round about it. I says, there's some sort of curse or that's lying on that land or around that area. He said the Boleskine estate has a long and colourful history. It began as a church parish around the 13th century when the Church of Rome began expanding into the Scottish Highlands, which he actually sent me the history through anybody that wants to look at it, boleskinehouse.org/history. I do believe there is a portal somewhere, but I don't believe it was started by Cowley. I think maybe Cowley accidentally stumbled across it and may have made this portal worse, if that makes sense.
Yep.
His opinion was not good to mess with the black magic. I only get the books to know who I am up against and to be able to fight evil. It was here that Cowley is known for conducting an extensive practice known as the magic of Ambla. Contrary to popular opinion, believing it was black magic, certainly, which originated out a mid-15th century manuscript of Jewish Providence outlining a rigorous set of practices involving devotion and prayer as a method to speak directly with God. I said he was some man. He says, imagine if he had... Cliff says, imagine if he had the internet. He's read a lot of old books, etc. His mind was like a sponge, taking it all in and saving. I just think, why Scotland, why Boleskine? He also researched the history of his abode to conclude that rumbling he often heard in the hall was supposedly the decaped head of Lord Leven, even though he was executed in London. Didn't believe that above Boleskine there's a place called Errigot, which is supposedly to be the geographical centre of the Highlands. Boleskine was then the nearest place to this. I says, interesting, thanks for the help, Pun. So after quick research, I believe the house is built where the church was and it overlooks the graveyard. Map is 1871. So I'd been looking for all this bloody map, and this guy had just brought it up for me in a matter of minutes. It just shows you.
Right. The history of that, there was a church there before that house was built and a graveyard. From 1648 to 1705, Minister Thomas Houston used to have to lay animated corpses back in their graves after a devious local wizard raised the dead in the graveyard.
Wow.
But then the church itself had a fire, but oddly enough, everybody that was in the church at the time died. It actually caught fire during a congregation that everybody that was inside died.
Now that's based on that map that I was just showing, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So the house was then constructed in the 1760s by Colonel Archibald Fraser, and it was only supposed to be a hunting lodge. So it's quite possible there's something there that's causing the issue to reoccur.
So 2 things. There is a YouTube channel that I watch. Ironically enough, I watch YouTube. Go figure. The Grim Life Collective. I think they actually went out to the mansion. They filmed out there. They couldn't like really get on the grounds or anything like that, but they were like around it, and they were showing like different places where pictures were taken with Crowley, and then pictures that were taken with Jimmy Page. And you know what I mean? Like he took pictures purposely in the same spots. I think there's a garden there, right? And it had something in the garden. It was sculptures or paintings or something outside. God, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. The second thing I want to say is kind of comical. Due to Lois's accent, every time she said the name of the mansion, it almost sounded like you said foreskin. And it was making me laugh every time you said it. I couldn't contain myself.
Well, do you know?
Don't look at us. You're the one who wanted them in.
Well,
Sorry,
I must
like I said,
admit,
my comic never turns off. I can't.
do you know what? Just funny enough, I am coming on your show, Cute and Kinky, just so that I can sit there and say, see that foreskin house? You ever been there, Tom? You ever been there?
Listen, everybody is welcome on the Cute and Kinky podcast. You know,
Oh my God.
out there.
Been there,
Oh my
done that.
God.
So
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I was there last time without Dom.
I got it. Just talk about this.
That must have been fun.
So let's go back. Let's go back to what Lo was saying, Lo.
I just want to just point out one thing, though. I mean, while you were reading this for us, because Todd was still showing his comedic side, even this one. When I had the map up, and when I invited Tom onto the show, what was funny was, you know, like how he's got his YouTube.com, you know,
Yes.
the banner. It was covering part of his eyes, so he had to move up so he could show his face because he was on the bottom. He was on the bottom side.
So I was just like,
Joe and I took note. I don't know if the rest of you guys saw, but Joe and I took notice.
I just started laughing my ass
You guys
off.
are comical.
While Samantha says, Wayne, I will not mention fires to him, or I may see a reaction. Julianne says, Sibling and Energy Rituals is part of a book I just wrote. Oh, I would be interested to hear more. Hey, Lauren.
yeah.
Samantha says, oh God, portals are quite something. Lynn says, I wondered if he brewed up black magic and he soaked himself in the energies, which eventually opened up a porthole. Maybe porthole.
Porthole.
Maybe whatever. Porthole. Maybe whatever was in.
I think you're channeling Tom. You're channeling Tom.
Maybe whatever was the content on the other side of the pothole, fuck off, porthole, was fed up with someone opening up the portal as they tried to stop the opening and bombing the building to get rid of them. Samantha says, apologies, I popped off to take a call, but I'm back. No problem. I've explored magic seeking daily protection soon. I started using less banishing rituals of the pentagram. A voice tells me it does not need to magic yourself smile. It's personal but revealing. Oh, sounds interesting, Julianne.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, I thought for a minute there, Lauren was saying that she was working on the Eiffel Tower, but that's all I seen.
I just put the link to the video I was talking about in the chat.
Okay.
I need to.
They were at that mansion, so it's pretty cool. I watched it.
I don't think I follow you. So now that it's in here 1, 2, 3 times, I'll make sure I go follow right now.
Well, it's only in there 3 times because we're going to 3 different places here. So
Oh,
I only
okay.
put it in one.
Tom, here's what I want you to do before we end the show. You got to tell Debbie about your YouTube channel and tell her to subscribe to, because you need the subscribers.
Well, I'm going to do it right now.
Actually. I mean, I love more subscribers, but I have reached a goal just recently. I am just over 2,000 subscribers.
Yes,
Oh, good for you. Congratulations.
Yay!
So
I got that just for getting 20.
I will follow you right now. But I could understand the dedication that you have to receive followers is impressive. So
I just recently had my first meet and greet too, so it's
Awesome.
I don't
Yeah,
even see
you're
the
here.
link
Congrats
on
right now, Tom.
Facebook. Where are you at? Where are you linked? Oh, you're on YouTube.
Yes.
I'm like, why can't I not?
Well, there is a
find you?
Facebook too. There is a Facebook
Yes.
too, but
So I'm following from Facebook. So now I got to go to the YouTube link so I can follow you. So I'll make sure that I'll follow you, Tom.
sometimes
so
I
I'll be
put
that
things.
2001.
Sometimes I put things only on Facebook. Like I'll do things just for the Facebook people, like a live or something. Like if I'm out in the field somewhere, and, you know.
Debbie,
Right.
at some point, I know, Tom, I'm sorry, I got to bring this up again. At some point, I got to show you how I first met Tom. And the time when I first met him, it was hilarious.
Really?
Samantha said, just letting you know on subtitles, it literally said porthole. That's good because I was worried they would say something else because I'm Scottish.
I understand you, Lo. I understand you. You're okay, girl.
Do you know what? I had Shane on last week, and my biggest fear was that Shane wasn't going to understand me because when we were in the Things, this makes me laugh. When we were in the Things Network meeting, right? I never usually attend them, but Nick sent me the link. So I came in and, hey Craig, hey lovely. So Samantha's celebrating. Follow me too, love. Put your link in. Everybody put your link in for YouTube, TikTok, whatever. Feel free. Samantha says 2,000 followers is a brilliant start. It's all up from there.
Well,
Lauren says, then request me. I'm Nick's adopted mom. And then Debbie's waving. So
I'll follow you, Lauren.
We were in this. Hey, Chantel. And
Guys,
that's
what Julianne says. Share your channel. So
I shared my channel, and now I'm following Lauren.
Oh,
but you really did share a depth and detail about the magic. And I follow Wayne. I follow Wayne.
I was gonna add about Aleister Crowley.
Oh wait, no. Oh,
it's me. I just thought I'd tell you this privately.
To be fair, I'll talk to you off stage about that because I'm mind blown myself about what's going on.
Sure.
I can't even see the comments now. So basically, we were in the Things Network meeting and can't remember what we were speaking about. And I commented, and Shane says the first time he heard me speak, he says, I had no clue what you were saying. He says, and I was just smiling at you.
Another language. That ain't English. What the hell is that?
Oh, man. I never will forget it. About 2 years ago, we'll say almost 3 years, I went into a church dam, and it's in Scotland. And I've never really got used to the way they speak is very quick, right? So I'm in there and they're all saying their hellos, and I just said to Spirit, God help me that they understand me. God help me that I'm understood and I could understand them. And the felicitator was like, please speak slower so Debbie could understand you. But I was in there like this out of like 60 people with prayers and hopes that I could understand and vice versa. But now it's an easy flow. So I understand you perfectly, girl. You're rocking it. So
but do you know what this is the ironic thing, right? People say they can't understand me, but see if I had to take them to somewhere like Aberdeen, oh my God, what problems they would have. Because the further you go up to Scotland, the further worse it is.
Yes, the deeper the accent, right? It's heavier.
Oh God, it actually gets to the point I can't even understand people that stays up in the Orkney Islands because it's like, what the hell did they just say? Does that come with translator?
I have friends that help me, and they'll give me the explanation of that, like to interpret the words. So it is different, but it takes time to get there. So I'm grateful that I understand.
Wait a minute. I have to test out something. Since we're talking about the accent and everything, I've been watching. I've seen this pop up on different like shorts and stuff like that. That
Mhm.
Scottish people cannot say these 3 words together.
Oh my
Oh
god.
my god.
Purple,
Is it
purple burglar alarm.
alarm? Aye. Everybody gets me to try and say this on live. I'll do it. Right, here goes.
You got this, girl. You got this.
Oh, I've got it, sister. Purple burglar alarm.
You do it a lot better than what I saw in the videos. I'll tell you that.
Oh, Debbie, here, Lauren, she's following you now.
I'm trying to follow Lauren, but it's not letting me add her, so I'll have to go in on the computer after because my phone is not opening it up for her. So I'll get you, girl. I'll go back and I'll follow.
She,
Julie.
I don't know. If
I'm going to put.
maybe she has, Debbie. She watches a lot of our shows here on the network, so she's a very loyal follower.
I'm going
you,
to read the. I'm going to read the last of the comments, guys, and then I'll need to shut the live down because it's nearly Joe's time. Debbie just got. I know. Debbie just got a phone call about somebody being charged in all accounts. Samantha says, if you want to see me falling down flights of stairs on live during Truth Beyond Paranormal, follow them. Courtney says that
weekend. Falling down steps, it's me as well. Episode 1 of the first season, I stacked it down some steps and it ended up
Scotland.
So Samantha says it's a new language. It's called being born in Scotland. I don't like Scotland myself. Courtney says my husband cannot understand it much either. She says I don't understand the story we're talking about. I came in halfway. Excuse me again. Courtney was like, she's all the faces, laughing faces. So that's it. Oh, Tom, you've got another follower. Julianne's following you. Hey,
I'm following Lauren now.
Sam says,
she sent you a friend request. She said,
That's right.
hey, you did better than me, and I'm English.
Hey,
Good night, and sweet dreams. Bye, Nigel.
Wondering where I'm at.
Debbie says, Deb also sent your friends a question. It's been a great live. Thanks, great show. Thank you. Hey, Erica. Bye, Erica. Wayne's bloops have made me laugh out loud when I met it, and I can only imagine. Share with me, Lil, and I'll follow you. Guys, it's been a wonderful night. Thank you so much. Now, tomorrow night, we've got a really good topic on Friday Frighteners. I have seen this a lot on Facebook just now and in a lot of Facebook groups. Now, I thought, why not Frighteners cover it? And it's talking about age limit in the paranormal, to start the paranormal. Now, a lot of people have been asking this lot of questions and having a lot of discussions about this. So I would love to have a discussion tomorrow night. Oh, yeah, I'll pass it over to Wayne, because Wayne, I usually miss a Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Sunday, Monday. Oh, right, yeah, Sunday. Wayne Seaton presents Spookinori Facebook group. I will be live at 10 p.m. GMT, so that's UK time, reading some more short ghost stories. And then Monday night at 9:30 p.m. UK time.
That would be awesome, Samantha.
It'll be the Dark Mirror radio show where myself and Josh Mayoka will be talking about aliens, UFOs, conspiracy. Oh, sorry, yeah. Aliens! UFOs, conspiracy theories, and such.
Wait, you said you read short ghost stories. So
Yes,
are they
I do.
just short on time, or are they about short ghosts?
Well, they're about 5 foot high. But
I can't
they're
with
about
you.
5 foot high. But yeah, I write ghost stories, but I also read other ones
About
that
midget
are
ghosts,
published as
so.
well. So. But
I
they're
really-
that short they can get in the cupboard quite easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So mini.
Nope. Nobody can do it as good as our Mark, definitely. But guys, check out next. We have Insane Joe and the reviews. I'm reading one of your books currently, Wayne. Tom did that funny.
See, that is so true, Warren.
As much as you put your handle in here, I could not find you, Tom.
What?
That's what
Yeah.
I'm
I
friends
put
with them.
the
on-
damn.
on
I
Fa-
put.
You want me to send them? I'm friends with
No,
them.
I'm not
Yeah,
putting it up in the chat and
Yeah, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
I don't want
got
Right,
you,
everyone. Right,
No.
everybody, have a good weekend. We'll see you all soon. Bye,
Take care,
everyone.
everyone.
I don't want
Bye.